Although The Outer Worlds will not be available for purchase until October, it has already generated a lot of attention from gaming publications and industry critics. Get that laser pistol loaded because we're diving headfirst into some truly wild territory. This is everything you need to know about Obsidian's upcoming sci-fi role-playing opus. Due to a mistake on the Outer Worlds Steam page back in February, fans and gaming news sites mistakenly assumed that the game would be released on August 6th. Obsidian set the record straight at Microsoft's E3 2019 briefing, announcing that the sci-fi RPG shooter would actually be released on October 25th for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Fans, however, were upset to learn that The Outer Worlds would initially be released as an Epic Games Store exclusive. Although the game will eventually be available for purchase on Steam, the Steam community will have to wait a full year after launch. Chris Avallone, a former Obsidian writer and founder, even tweeted about his own gripes with the exclusivity deal, writing, "It's how you kill the best hype you could have for a game, possibly best hype for any of the studio's games ever, then undermine it for a cash grab."
A stranger has just arrived. Someone who's challenging the corporate war.
The Outer Worlds takes place in the Halcyon colony, which is owned and operated by corporations. The game is set in an alternate timeline, the key difference being that U.S. President William McKinley was never assassinated. This means that Theodore Roosevelt never became president, and therefore large business trusts were never broken up. This led to a classist society controlled by megacorporations who ravenously colonize new planets. You play as the Stranger, one of the many people originally selected to colonize Halcyon. However, it turns out your ship was knocked off course and you arrive over 70 years later than planned.
Are you feeling anything that can be construed as explosive cell death? No? Wonderful! Let's get started.
The Stranger is rescued from cryogenic hibernation by scientist Phineas Wells, who wants your help bringing down corporate rule. Although the main storyline will have a number of potential endings depending on your actions, whether you decide to align with either Phineas or the board will set your character on one of two basic paths. Reminiscent of Fallout New Vegas, your Outer Worlds experience depends entirely on the choices your character makes. A multitude of dialogue options is available when you interact with NPCs, which can change the storyline. Some of these dialogue options can only be selected with certain character builds and companion attributes, but dialogue isn't the only way to change how the story flows. Every little decision, from how you choose to complete missions to what clothes you decide to wear, can have some type of effect.
Now, you know you didn't have to shoot either one, right? But it's fine, I guess. You just keep being you.
The main storyline also has a variety of different endings, hinging on your actions as you progress through the game. The outcome of the story depends on which factions you decide to ally with. You can help the rebellious Phineas Wells try and dismantle the corporations, or you can join the board and advance their agenda. If you are more of a loner, you can actually try and double-cross both the board and Phineas Wells. According to Obsidian Entertainment senior narrative designer Megan Starks, you can even, quote, end up being the antagonist of the game based on your choices. Even though The Outer Worlds won't be available to purchase until October, Obsidian Entertainment met with a representative from Game Informer and allowed them to release 10 minutes of gameplay footage in December. From their visit, Game Informer learned some new details about The Outer Worlds, such as the fact that companions can give out special quests. Game Informer also discovered a bit more about melee combat. Apparently, melee attacks deal more physical damage than ranged weapons. Melee characters also perform a wide, sweeping motion when attacking, which means they can hit multiple enemies in one swing. More gameplay footage was shown off during PAX East 2019. This footage showcased some of the science weapons that can be found in The Outer Worlds, such as the Shrink Ray and the Mandibular Rearranger. At E3, they went on to reveal a full 40 minutes of gameplay showcasing the game's holographic disguise system, inventory, and various skills. The holographic shroud is one of the most intriguing features coming to The Outer Worlds, which allows players to trick enemies and talk their way through sticky situations. Obsidian Entertainment has proven itself by continuing to put out quality games that resonate with fans while navigating the volatile industry of video game development. Founded by a small group of former Black Isle Studios employees in 2003, Obsidian started out developing sequels based on licensed properties, such as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, and Neverwinter Nights 2. They went on to release a wide range of successful titles, such as South Park: The Stick of Truth, Fallout New Vegas, and their first original IP, Alpha Protocol. Obsidian even even gained so much goodwill with fans that they managed to crowdfund their own series Pillars of Eternity on Kickstarter in 2012. Critics were so impressed by Obsidian's past titles that several of their games went on to win critical awards. The first Pillars of Eternity game took Best RPG at the Game Awards in 2015. Fallout New Vegas also won the award for Best RPG at the Game Critics Awards Best of E3 in 2010, and South Park: The Stick of Truth took home the same award in 2012. Similar to the Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System, or VATS, from the Fallout series, the Stranger will be able to use their own unique ability while fighting enemies in the Outer Worlds. This combat feature is called Tactical Time Dilation and should help less accurate players with their aim. As the name implies, this ability allows the Stranger to slow down time to dodge projectiles and land more precise attacks. Apparently, tactical time dilation is a side effect of the hibernation sickness that the Stranger suffers after being frozen for so long. It turns out the ability can also be used to gain more tactical information about your foes. Players can use TTD to find weak points on enemies and even discover their favorite foods. While figuring out where to hit foes in order to cause the most damage will surely prove useful in battle, it is unclear what role learning about their favorite snacks will play. Some video game publications are speculating that this knowledge could help players poison their enemies or pass certain speech checks, but we will have to wait until the game releases to find out. Obsidian Entertainment is truly embracing the role-playing aspect of the Outer Worlds. The Stranger can be customized both genetically and physically to suit the player's preferences during an initial in-game event. We're guessing it's probably going to play out similar to the character creation scene in Fallout New Vegas. This includes your character's sex and appearance, as well as basic attributes and skills. As players level up, they gain experience points that can be used to increase whichever skills they prefer. For example, you can put your points towards dialogue or lockpicking skills if you prefer to avoid fights, or focus on technical skills, such as science and engineering, to improve your equipment. Science can be used to make your weapons and armor more powerful, while engineering allows you to customize your weapons and armor to suit your specific playstyle. Some other skills we have heard about so far include medical, endurance, sneaking, and leadership. Another important detail about the skill system in the Outer Worlds is that players are rewarded the more they focus on each skill. For every 20 points spent on improving a specific skill, you will unlock a new perk. Even though the Outer Worlds provides players with a wide variety of different science fiction weapons to choose from, such as plasma rifles and inferno scythes, Obsidian has also included unique weapons in the game known as science weapons. During an exclusive interview with Game Informer, the Outer Worlds co-director Tim Kaine explained how the science weapons are designed to have, quote, inexplicable effects that we thought would be funny, and we didn't care in any way if they were realistic. As of right now, there are 5 science weapons that can be found in the game, each one falling under a different category: light melee, heavy melee, handgun, long gun, and heavy gun. Just like regular weapons, they can be improved upon by using science skills. Unlike regular weapons, however, these science weapons come with some pretty outrageous effects. For example, the Shrink Ray can collapse the space between atoms, effectively shrinking enemies down to minuscule sizes. As enemies grow smaller, their damage threshold also reduces, making them much more susceptible to your attacks. Growing concern over microtransactions flared up once again after a comment made by senior executive at Electronic Arts when she appeared before a House of Commons committee in the United Kingdom. The Vice President of Legal and Government Affairs at EA, Carrie Hopkins, defended her company's policy on loot boxes by comparing them to Kinder Egg and Hatchimal toys. Hopkins also told Parliament that EA preferred to call loot boxes surprise mechanics, and went on to argue that their use in games are
quite ethical and quite fun, enjoyable to people.
This comment did not go over well with the public, as the memory of the controversy over EA's use of microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2 was still fresh in the consumers' minds. Many people see loot boxes as a predatory tactic that promotes gambling addictions and preys on younger customers. Obsidian, on the other hand, has already made it clear that there will be no microtransactions in the Outer Worlds. As Tim Kaine said himself during an interview with GameStar, you buy it once and then enjoy it forever. Recently, Microsoft has been busy acquiring more and more game studios. Several well-known companies such as Playground Games and Compulsion Games were purchased last year, and now Obsidian Entertainment has been added to the list. When Microsoft first purchased Obsidian back in November, many fans and critics were concerned about whether or not Microsoft's acquisition would impact the Outer Worlds. Leonard Boyarsky, one of the co-directors of the game, set the record straight during an interview with Polygon. During this interview, Boyarsky was adamant that Obsidian had been exclusively working with Private Division on the Outer Worlds. He explained, "The acquisition really hasn't been a part of what we're doing at all on the Outer Worlds. We've just been working on this game with the great folks over at Private Division. None of that is going to change." Even though Microsoft was given a sneak peek of the game before it was unveiled, Take-Two's Private Division is still funding and publishing the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds will include 4 difficulty options: Story, Normal, Hard, and Supernova. Those who wish to focus on the game's narrative without having to worry about combat can choose Story mode to reduce enemy health and damage. For players who prefer a more challenging experience with a focus on combat, Hard mode increases enemy health and damage without additional alterations. Thrill seekers and RPG veterans looking to put their prowess to the test can try out Supernova, a mode that makes your playthrough and your enemies much more dangerous.
I'm not saying you shouldn't vex this guy, but if you do, it's been nice knowing you.
In Supernova, your companions can die permanently, depriving you of their aid and locking you out of entire quest lines. Autosaves are more limited, and you can only manually save while inside your ship. To survive, you must eat, drink, and sleep regularly, and you can only sleep indoors. When at 0 durability, your weapons and armor perform poorly, and your sole method for healing crippled body and limb conditions is through bed rest. It's important to note that you must choose Supernova difficulty at the start of the game, and if you reduce the difficulty at any point, you cannot re-enable it. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SVG videos about your favorite games are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.